Good morning from the parking lot of Sprouts Farmers Market in Sacramento. Actually, it's partly cloudy today and there's even a few raindrops, very, very small raindrops on the windshield. It's not supposed to rain today, but it's not supposed to break 100 today for the first day in I think it's 12 straight days. But anyway, look what we've got here. We've got the Lust card from the Crowley-Harris Thoth Tarot deck. I've got it up here because the sun has entered Leo, and I have been inspired by a couple of Leo things lately, including by Constance and I's love and affection for cats. And cats appear in the Thoth Tarot in more than one card than the Lust card. And tigers and things like that are in the court cards too. Especially the Wands Cup card. But anyway, so I'm going to share a couple things today. One is something I literally ran across yesterday that I haven't looked at since 2008. And I was just going through an old computer and old files, and I found it and printed it out, and it's something I haven't shared with you before, but it's about cats. Something I wrote about cats, and one cat in particular. Now I know lots of my Facebook friends are cat lovers because their photo section of their pages are monopolized by pictures of their cats in various adorable positions. And Constance and I have had cats for years. We currently don't have one because of the tyrannical, greedy, money-grubbing monster of a landlady we have won't allow us to have any pets. And frankly, we're doing good just with Mr. Turtle, who years ago we discovered was probably Miss Turtle, and so has been renamed the Viscountess Amelia Tortu. But I digress into turtles. Let's talk about cats and a little thing that I wrote in 2008. Louis DuQuette, D-U-C-A-T, also known as Louis the Observant. 1980, we don't know what, 1980 something probably, to 2008. I'm writing this in the middle of the night because I can't sleep. About an hour ago, Constance gently woke me up and told me, "It's 1:30, Louis is dead." This was not unexpected. Had he been any other cat living with any other people, he would have been dead 10 years ago. This last year, it was obvious that old age would soon take him from us. And in all honesty, I think he would have been happy to go were it not for the fact that cat heaven can't be more pleasantly paradisial than being cared for by St. Constance of the Well, Our Lady of Perpetual Motion. We'll wait for this truck to pass. There are only two kinds of people in the world: cat people and the others. Not all the others are crazy, but all the cat people are. One isn't necessarily born a cat person. I certainly wasn't. Or at least I didn't admit I was. As a youngster, I told myself I distrusted their smug, undog-like independence and sneaky behavior. But like the little boy who boasts his hatred of little girls, but is secretly consumed by girl-crazy adoration, I had a hidden place in my heart, an altar upon which I worshipped the almost unearthly beauty and style of cats. Of course, if you are an other, you wouldn't understand. Constance, with her saintly compassion for all life and the recognition of her cosmic duty as mother of many Buddhas, has helped me to refine my cat rapture. Certainly not to her level, but I do the best according to my light. We've had many cats in our 41 years together, now 55 years. Louis DuQuette. All our cats have the surname DuQuette. Louis came to us around 1992. He, although we didn't know he was a he at first, he was a beautiful long hair who we'd seen around the neighborhood for some time. We naturally assumed he belonged to somebody, and wasn't until we saw him each day upon the roof of the abandoned house next door did we realize that he too was probably abandoned. We already had 4 cats at the time, and it must have been hard for lonely Louis to see the warm attention that St. Constance lavished upon them. Finally, one day, he could stand it no longer. He stood on his roof and loudly meowed until Constance said, "Come on, you can live with us." I do not exaggerate. There is not a living creature in this world who hear those words from that woman. Of course, the first thing Constance did was to ask our new lodger its name. It answered, Louise. So Louise it was until our friend Sel Heidel, another saint — it's not unusual for saints to have friends who are also saints — until Sel peeked through that long hair and discovered that Louise was a fixed male. Constance immediately realized that she misheard, and that his name was really Louis. Louis made peace with and eventually outlived those other cats. When we moved about 10 blocks away, Louis immediately ran away. Constance found him in the backyard of the old house waiting for dinner. Now, if our friend, Miss Carolyn Tilley, or Carrie Tilley, is listening this morning, I'm not sure that I've ever read this to her, but if you are friends with Carrie, you might want to, after this broadcast is over, alert her and have her listen to this. I will, but I hope she's listening right now. She often does. Okay. Louise loved women, especially women with large breasts. The object of his most favored affection was our friend Carolyn Tilley, who was his favorite babysitter when Constance and I traveled out of town together. Louise would embarrass himself and others when lounging on or near her bosom, the bosom of Miss Tilley. He drooled and kneaded. He lay on his back and spread his legs. It was as if he were reading my mind. Oh, excuse me while I compose myself. Carrie called him her love monkey. And I tell you, life was pretty sweet for Louis DuQuette. He was very observant, right up to his last hours. He wanted to watch Constance cooking. He drifted in and out of consciousness on my lap as I watched Pirates of the Caribbean. I've got lots of Louis stories, but even cat people get tired of other people's cat stories. Louis will perhaps be remembered as the very active participant of our Monday night Magick class. During our scrying sessions, we could always count on Louis to let us know when he thought it was time for us to stop. Most of the time it was by meowing in his raspy meow. Meow. Other times he would just jump on the lap of a new person and scare the crap out of them. Or in later years, simply go to his litter box and take a very stinky crap. I remember us scrying the aethers, and all of a sudden, and everybody is sort of zoned out for a while, and all of a sudden you hear this scratching near the litter box area, and then the most horrible, unbelievable, it was like throwing stink gas into the rooms to say, class is over, time to go. And Louise would do that constantly, but I digress. I'm tired now. I think I can sleep for a few hours. Later today, we're going to cremate Louise's bony little body on the beach in Huntington Beach. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. But hey, we're cat people. And that's how that little essay that I didn't know, didn't intend it to be published, I don't think. I just did it in the middle of the night Louise died. But anyway, we didn't take him to the beach in Huntington Beach because we more or less came to our senses and knew it would take many hours to properly cremate something, and I think we would have been arrested before Louise finally was totally consumed. But we had Louise cremated at our local vet, and the local vet didn't charge us full price for Louise because he had grown so thin and frail toward the end. that he didn't weigh enough for the vet to charge us very much. Luis now sits with with another of our cats in a beautiful cedar box on our living room table. But anyway, I thought I was going to, or I planned to read a little bit from Crowley's comments on Leo, but I don't know if I have time to do very much. If you'd like, I'll read a couple things Crowley said about the Lust card, and then we'll call it a day. The reason the Lust card, it's usually the old Strength card in more traditional decks. Crowley has it in the order of the trumps. He has it as key number 11. Now that's exactly what the key letter for the Strength card was, or the position found in the Tarot of Marseille, the original archetypal 78 card tarot deck. And but Crowley returned to the Tarot of Marseille sequence for the Book of Thoth when, as part of the convoluted logic of his switch of Hay and Sadi with the Emperor and the Star card. I'm not going to get into that today. I spent a great deal of time as a Sadi Hay apologist, and to tell you the truth, I don't explain it to myself to my own satisfaction. But anyway, this trump was formerly called Strength. Crowley calls it Lust. But it implies more than strength in the ordinary sense of the word. Technical analysis shows the path corresponding to the card is not the strength of Geburah, but the influence from Kether upon Geburah. Now, I'm going to show you a tree of life, if I can dig one out of here. And I'll put my note back there. Okay. There's a tree of life. Okay. There's the path of Tet right there. The second horizontal path on the tree of life. And it goes from where I'm sitting, Geburah, number 5, to Hesed, number 4. Now, what Crowley was just saying in that statement is the strength that he's talking about when he changed it to lust was not the strength implied from going from the strength of Mars, Geburah, toward Hesed, but the influence of Hesed going to Geburah. And Crowley suggests in other places, I can't give you chapter and verse right now, but he suggests in other places that his incarnation as the beast, as the beast, activated the Hesed Geburah, Hesed Geburah circuitry on the universal tree of life, or the general human consciousness tree of life. There, I explained that terribly. Such as most of my digressions. Okay. Technical analysis shows that the path corresponding to the card is not strength of Geburah, but the influence from Hesed upon Geburah. the path balanced both vertically and horizontally on the tree of life. For this reason, it has been thought better to change the traditional title. Lust implies not only strength, but the joy of strength exercised. It's vigor and rapture of vigor. And he has lengthy quotes from the book of the law, but I'll just read the top one. Come forth, O children, under the stars, and take your fill of love. I am above you and in you. My ecstasy is in yours. My joy is to see your joy. This trump is assigned to the sign of Leo in the zodiac. It is the cherub of fire and is ruled by the sun. It's the most powerful of the 12 zodiacal cards and represents the most critical of all the operations of magic and alchemy. The original marriage, as it occurs in nature, as opposed to the more artificial form portrayed in Atu 6, which is the lover's card. There is in this card no attempt to direct the course of the operation. The main subject of the card refers to the most ancient collection of legends or fables. It's necessary here to go a little into the magical doctrine of the succession of the aeons, which is connected with the procession of the zodiac. In the last aeon, that of Osiris, is referred to Aries and Libra, as the previous aeon, that of Isis, was especially connected to the sign of Pisces and Virgo, while the present, that of Horus, is linked to Aquarius and Leo. Okay, and this may, if you haven't sort of picked up on this already, we're talking about poles, okay? And if you can imagine that when the sun at the equinox appears to be in Aquarius, this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Imagine the energy coming from that part of space, if you will, that used to be occupied by the constellation of Aquarius, but now is just out there and segmented, and is a section that designated by the energy coming from the Aquarius. Let's assume that the constellations are still intact. The sun, Aquarius is behind the sun, and the sun filters the influence of Aquarius and shines upon us, okay, and radiates the sun filtered energy, force, light of Aquarius. On the opposite side of the zodiac from Aquarius is Leo. And while we're enjoying the sun-filtered influence of Aquarius in front of us, in our faces, we get the straight shot, undiluted, direct, unfiltered force of Leo coming at us from behind. That's the explanation of what's all this Leo stuff we're hearing about in this age of Aquarius. That's where the undiluted, straight shot, when you go into a bar You order a whiskey and say, give me a straight shot. I want it neat. When the sun's in Aquarius, the hardcore people say, nah, give me that influence neat. Give me a shot of Leo. Okay, so, and the same thing was true with Aries and Libra. When the sun was in Aries, okay, the myth of Abraham, substituting his human sacrifice for that of a lamb or a goat, actually. He was an example of the sun-filtered sign of Aries. But right in back was Libra. And as it actually manifests in the in-your-face universe, Hammurabi, the lawgiver, Moses, the lawgiver, okay, Libra. And in the previous aeon, that of Isis, it was connected with Pisces and Virgo, okay. And I believe Crowley had those two words mixed up because we've just come out of the Piscean age into Virgo. So that's the age of Osiris, actually. Anyway, that's my brief little plunge into why the lust card is so important, why Crowley signed his name with the big A, the Alistair, which is of his Leoness. That's why he identified so much with his rising sign of Leo rather than his sun sign. Anyway, it all has to do with cats, and maybe that's why we and the Egyptians were so hung up on cats. Now, I don't know what kind of karma the Egyptians were piling up upon themselves when the cat worship got stylized and degenerated and crystallized into breeding cats to mummify them, to bless your tombs and stuff. I can make my own moral judgment on the wisdom of that. But all I know is cats are extremely special. And I don't think it is a coincidence that so many of the people on Earth today who have developed a sensitivity toward the natural adoration and worship of these special creatures to have something to do with the magical formula of the new aeon influencing the character and the life of individuals on this planet, whether they consider themselves Christians or Jews or Muslims or atheists or anything else. The love of cats seems to be more universal than any philosophy or religion. Anyway, I've rambled on here in the parking lot of Sprouts, and I'm going to end today's cat thing and get Constance home here before it starts to get too hot. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.